Now we move on to Channelizer.
Yeah, so next is going to be, we're going to talk about Channelizer Pro. Channelizer Pro has had a lot of stuff this year. You know, we have the double rainbow thing. You know, we have Aurora. We have Cisco project. We have. I'm still in
Dev mode.
Yeah, I'm one of the hackers, and so like all the code names are how I use them every day. So you'll probably that's not the last time it's going to happen. But so double rainbow. You know, we've gotten requests. Yes.
Shouldn't one of those rainbows be inverted, right? Because when you see two rainbows,
probably. Who knows? But I'm sorry.
Nice way to kick him off.
Yeah, mid thought. So I'm sorry.
Sam brought out his Chris jammer instead of.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Chris's mid thought. It's time to interject. Like,
isn't a Chris jammer illegal?
Yes.
For the rest of the presentation, it is illegal.
So we've gotten requests from Wireless Tech Field Day and all over the place, you know, for people to say, you know, we want to be able to look at both bands, the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz band at the same time. It's been, it's been here, it's been a thing. So we decided, let's do that. And so we built the new version. You know, we're right now with Channelizer Pro with Cisco CleanAir. You know, we have that. We have a bunch of new features. We also have, like I said, you know, Cisco CleanAir, we have integration where you can connect and do spectrum analysis remotely with Cisco CleanAir. And the goal was so that when you guys see the little rainbow radar icon that you guys have that's peppered throughout your management consoles, you can think of us because we handle the CCF files, we'll open those for you and let you see what's going on those access points.
And we have for you copies. So,
yeah.
Yay!
Yay!
What is the requirement from the Cisco side to be able to gather that data? Does it have to connect to the control?
Mm-hmm. Oh no. So if you have the IP address and the NSI key, you can just actually I'll show you in a second. We have the ability to just let you put in the IP address and the NSI key, and then you can just go right to it.
So Chris, in other words, that AP that
it's finally useful.
Box,
it is.
You can get to the autonomous code on it,
and more, an unopened box.
Yes.
So, all right. So like I said, I mean, we have these files. You know, so for any of you guys who've dealt with the CCF files, you know, it's this little XML file that has, you know, the IP address and the NSI key. And so any way you can get that information, whether or not you get it from the website on the AP or from your controller or from anywhere.
Your friend.
Again, your
Pass
friend.
It around. Everybody loves to trade them like baseball cards. You know, here's mine, you got one.
And so what I'm going to show you right now is we have an access point that's actually in the MetaGeek office in Boise, and we can view what's happening remotely live, you know, from there. So to get all the packets all the way from Boise takes a second, apparently. Yeah. So we show, this is from, you know, one of our CleanAir APs that's just sitting there at the home office. And you see we have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz at the same time. This one is apparently loving us. Yeah, so we also have the ability to swap. Yes. I know, you're angry. Let's try that again. And you guys probably know that you can only get so many connections to these things, so I'm sure there's someone at the home office that's just messing with me.
They're just messing with you right now.
Yeah, they really want me to have a great time today.
It's Sam.
It's Sam. Sam is connected. So,
Sam.
Why am I becoming the Blake of the Wi-Fi jokes?
Ooh. So,
You got invited.
this time. So, as you can see here, I mean, this is the 2.4 gigahertz band. Our office is a pretty interesting place when it comes to Wi-Fi. We have a lot of access points floating around. You get to see the full band. This happens to be in SE Connect mode.
Yes.
I believe. And so, you know, you guys have the different modes for these access points. You have local mode that shows you just the one channel that you're working on, and it can be passing packets, and you can be doing everything. So you can actually live, you know, get in and look at what's happening on a device that's actually doing work. This, in the SE Connect mode, it's kind of busy doing spectrum analysis, so you can't be passing packets, but it's a great tool to look at what's happening in the neighborhood. If you can take one of those access points in a building down and just kind of look. So this is 2.4. We also have now, because you can see we have the other band still just chilling over here. They both respect the unified time frame. Channelizer, a big part of Channelizer is the unified time frame. We have the idea that you don't have to just look what's happening now. If you leave this running, go to lunch, and come back, and someone says, "Oh, it happened again," like the thing with the stuff, it happened again, and it happened at 11:15, and you can come in here and say, "Okay, what was going on in both bands at the same time at 11:15?" So, and you can see, well, let's say that what's happening right now is super interesting, but the 2.4 band is 5. You really want 5, and so what you can do. Come over to 5. Okay, you can go over to 5, and because everything on the right side of the screen. So once you have the playback waterfall.
Why don't you just get your recording?
Yeah, I think that's probably better. Because, like I said, they're messing with me.
Yeah, right.
So everything on the left side of the screen, the playback waterfall stuff. We'll still have this this density view. It's the same as this density view that you guys are used to over here, but it's for that time window, the unified time window in that band, and it hates me. Thank you. All right. All right, so the left side is unified time frame, so you can mess with all of your times. You can pause something, you can fast forward, you can rewind. You can do all that stuff that you're used to doing, with Channelizer, but now you're doing it with both bands at the same time. So you can see what's happening in density, in that, in the waterfall view and in that, that kind of flipped over density view simultaneously. So,
What'd you do, Chris?
what did I do? It's a great question.
We were just playing with it.
I was just playing that thing.
Are there any Cisco code level dependencies?
I mean,
as long as it has
your end
CleanAir.
or on our end?
It needs to have
Cisco
CleanAir.
side.
Just means CleanAir.
It needs to be
Needs CleanAir, right?
IP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you.
Yeah,
There is
you-
2 flavors of CleanAir as
There's
well.
CleanAir Express, and then there's
Yeah.
CleanAir.
Yeah, it needs the full. Express doesn't work.
3500.
New lemon scented pine CleanAir.
Yes.
What's
It's
Express
anything that exposes the NSI key.
Blake? What's
Yes.
Express CleanAir?
It's 1600.
It's on the 1600 series AP. It's not as full featured as the full CleanAir. Doesn't pick it up as
It's
much.
more like chipset-based spectrum analysis.
Oh, it doesn't have the Cognio chip in there.
Yeah.
It does have the Cognito chip, actually. Yeah, it's
I'll
just
see
not
what
out
I
yet.
have and I'll mess with
So
it.
don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
It's actually full-blown Cognito. It's shared memory with the main
Yeah.
system.
And so we do. I mean, on your end, there's no need for you guys to install any other stuff from Cisco to get it. You have the AP, and if you have the NSI key, it'll work. So anyway. All right, because it'll be a recording. So, oh man.
We done broke it there.
So,
Could be the hotel Wi-Fi.
yeah. So one of the things that we really wanted to get out of our the CleanAir technology is one of the things they really like in Spectrum Expert is the interference list. These are the devices that we've that CleanAir has identified for you.
Just go with.
So, all right. So in here, so this was the couple of seconds I was able to grab. So you see that there are, in this environment, there are Bluetooth and video camera, and there's going to be 802.11 and all kinds of stuff. And that actually comes directly from CleanAir, so it's going to be the exact same list that you guys are used to seeing in Spectrum Expert. Yeah.
Can you copy that out as a text file or CSV or something, or does it just have to be an image that you capture out of that, like that list of interfering devices?
Right.
Say you wanted to copy that to a table and stick it in the deliverable, like I used to
We
do.
do have a
Once
a
upon
report
time.
for that, and I can show you that in a minute. Actually, yeah, that actually is a great question. And I'll show you the report builder stuff for that. But as one of the things that we, because it's still part of the unified time frame, it's still left at that line. If you wanted to look at what was happening during a very specific time frame, you could see all of the interferers that we had detected during that time. So it's not, you don't have to just see what happened, what was going on now. You can go back and see what were the interfering devices right when this thing that I can see on the density view when did that come up? When that came up, did my interfering devices change?
I gather this is pulling this from Cisco's information.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's this because that's what Spectrum Expert was doing. You know, it was getting the list directly out of the AP.
So when they update their list of known signatures, you'll catch them from that.
We'll be able to get them as well.
Yeah, yeah. Because
as they improve the signatures and.
Because it's still the Sage chipset. That was the confusion that I had too when we were first learning about it a couple months back. Was that it's still the Sage chipset, and all of that information lives in that Sage chipset, and you guys are reading the data through the API.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. So, you know, and we can also do, because we still have the density view, we still have all this stuff, you can actually watch and actually get an overlay of everything that's going on. Oh, right. We can show you an overview of what's going on. So you say like, hey, we have a video camera. Someone at the office turned on a video camera right when we were doing that. That's awesome. And you can see, hey, this is a video camera, and because it's shaded in, it has a high duty cycle. So that's one that we wanted it to really pop out to say like, hey, there's this thing. It's on channel 1 and 2. It sucks real bad.
That's the sustained air horn in the room.
Yeah, and this again goes back to Stoney's idea that we can visualize it better. We can do it. We can give you guys kick-ass visualizations that help, you know, say this stuff is here. Yeah, it's sure. There's a deck-like phone. There's Bluetooth. There's all this stuff. Yeah. That's all fine and well. But this one sucks really bad. And if you are on channel 1, that's going to be bad.
See, if that AP was here, I would say that's Sam.
Yeah. You're right. That would be Sam.
But instead, it's probably Joel.
Yeah, it is probably Joel, actually. Joel, thank you.
Is that whiteness get more opaque?
Yes.
As the duty cycle climbs?
Absolutely. So if we look at this list, you'll see like this video camera is at 100% duty cycle at this point. So I mean, that's because we didn't want to totally obscure the density data. I mean, if we just filled it in totally white, you'd be like, okay, that's great. What's behind there? But
if it's 50%, it'd be even lighter.
Yes.
It gets lighter and lighter, and as you can tell, something that's not having a huge effect. It's still bracketed to tell you where, you know, it's placed, but it's kind of indicating don't worry about so much about it. You know. And
just like you guys are used to in this list, I mean, the duty cycle for a lot of these guys is just going to come back as 0 because, you know, we detected it. It had like a little, you know, like for Bluetooth, you know, we saw a little bit, but really it's this stupid frequency hopping, you know, crazy thing that is hardly there. So most of the time you'll see 0, but when you see it at 100, it makes you take notice because it's going to really hurt you. So we also have the channels affected, you know, is coming out of the API as well. And there's also, because there's the frequencies that it has, and then the channels affected, and all kinds of stuff. When we saw it last, exactly what time, and then we also have that severity score that the actual severity score out of the Sage chipset. So that's also the same. So when you're dealing with this stuff, dealing with the individual interferers is cool, but at least if you can't move any of them, then you have to deal with them in aggregate to try to avoid them, you know. And so we have this channels table that will let you see, hey, what's going on all my different channels. Let's go ahead and get rid of this for now. Which channel, you know, really is hurting, which channel is fine, and so we have all this data that we built for you for figuring that out. So you see like the average dBm, what is the average noise on each one of these channels, and you know how much utilization is there. So you can see that like as we get down, you know, into channels, you know, 9 and you know 12, you know, that is, you know, there's a lot more. But this guy here. You know, that's why we need all of it, is because here on channel 1 and 2, it's only showing, you know, that like the band is utilized at 80%, you know, mostly, you know, like it's not, so you need both of them to say like the whole overall utilization on the channel is not super high, But when it's going to interfere with this video camera, then it's going to be bad.
So a question about that.
Yeah.
It's showing the total utilization in that part of the band there as being low.
Right.
But you're saying that video camera is actually interfering very badly, and
So
kind of the air quality index that you've got at the side there, I'm not sure what the scale is you're using, but it's showing like a very low air quality.
Yeah, so I'll break this down because this is kind of, it's pulling this apart, it'll be fun. But, so what we have right out, so you have the video camera is at its duty cycle is reported from the Sage chipset at 100%.
Right.
But what we see is this data here, this kind of gradient, the same density view. And so we say, well, yeah, that's true, it's probably always there, but once you get to 90, because this right here, you look at it, I mean, it's here, but most of the channel is fine. Like channel 2 is not quite as bad. And so we did this based on the actual power, not the actual interferers, so that you could say, if they're all bad, if we had a situation where we had a ton of video cameras and everything was socked in and it was really, really bad, how can you make a decision, what's the best of these bad channels, and so the total utilization, I think it's actually at -80. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember exactly where that line is, but we're saying that at this certain threshold, how much of the band is being used.
Doesn't Cisco clean that air?
That might be what they would tell you.
Yeah, say scrub it.
Scrub it.
They scrub it. They scrub it really good.
That's why you pay extra for that AP, so it could just scrub that little white thing clean.
Sagebrush.
The sagebrush. Yeah. So
I kind of get where you're coming from there, but what I'm saying, I'm thinking, looking at that table there is like, okay, so no, I know I've got to pay attention to duty cycle and interference max the most and kind of ignore those other ones because they're not really giving me information on what's really going on there.
Yeah, so what you'll have is, let's say you're in this band here, and you can see that even though this is really all spiky and really has a high duty cycle, over here it's even worse, because we come up and we see that it's this Wi-Fi is using a.
It's actually not. That utilization number's caused by the duty cycle. So it's 7% utilization because I couldn't get anything else through.
Right, because the
other side is
are
getting stuff through, so it's actually better to have the higher utilization. Right. It's telling me where it's clean.
Yeah. Well, the total utilization, we're saying that during this time frame, you were at 23% so at channel 11, I can scroll down for that.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
what this is telling you is you could get 23. You could only get 7 at the other place.
You'd be lucky to.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to. And the camera's not exactly on one, right? It's in between the two, so it's causing. So one's getting some bleed over.
I'm just thinking about it from the point of view of maybe an RF engineer that doesn't really know a lot about how this actually works behind the scene. They're going to look at that and go, well, but it's saying it's not being used very much, but there's a duty cycle. I'm not sure what's going on here, and why the people are having problems.
And I think it's part of the reason this comes out as bad versus not quite so awful is because Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi is the whole thing, right? You have all those subcarriers, you have all that stuff it's the whole thing is being, where this is kind of more spiky and more, but one of the things I have to say is like some of this is from the Sage chip and some of it is from our calculations.
For what it's worth, the air quality index when everything's happy and everything's cool, it's 100.
Yes.
And that's a table that's familiar to Cisco people that are used to looking at WCS and NCS and Prime and blah,
Absolutely.
blah, blah. Yeah. So as it gets crummier, your number goes down.
Yep.
Thank you.
Taking into account all the interferers, utilization.
Yeah.
So,
cycle.
but utilization
Somebody who's
sounds.
used to working with
I think
Yeah,
the
you would
impression
normally
is
see the air quality
utilization
index and you
is
can see a drop.
I should go there.
In
Yeah.
Prime.
Oh, okay.
Because it's unused. It's actually telling me don't go there because it doesn't work there.
Right.
What it's actually saying is that you're only going to be able to get 7. Right now, only 7% is able to get through this.
I'm just wondering if there's some sort of tooltip or something you could give there that if they hovered over that, they would be able to go, oh, okay, that's what that's about.
And maybe it's the air quality index is a better term for what's going on.
Within the management overview for Cisco products, you can alert on various air quality thresholds that you can set where I don't care if it's 80 or whatever, let me know when it gets down to 70 or what have you.
Yeah, and this really is, like Jennifer was saying, like the The air quality index is totally familiar for the people who are in that environment, because that's how it's kind of that one boiled down number for the channel. Yeah. And it's actually the corollary to this. When we go back to the interfering devices and you look at the video camera, you see the severity is really high for this video camera, and that's that air quality index is kind of the inverse.
Can you flip back to the last slide you were on?
Screen. This one, the channels table?
Yeah, so the 11 on the air quality index would make you, that's saying it's a bad.
Yes.
11 is very bad, because
Yeah.
100 is perfectly happy.
Yeah, 100 is perfect. So it is kind of interesting that we have, and this is because it's based on the interferers, the actual interferers. So like some of it, this was not quite on. This was only a couple of seconds, so like it wasn't quite on long enough probably to detect the 802.11 signatures, and so it hadn't discounted those for the air quality yet. In a longer capture, I'm sure that they would have popped up, and these channels would be similarly low. Our environment in the office is really it's really busy. So we have a big building, with a bunch of different APs, and we can even see the neighboring runs.
I wonder if there's like a green, yellow, red stoplight color thing you could do for the. I don't know the role person, the Betty
index,
or whatever, who doesn't know what they're doing.
Have that number be color visualized as good or bad for people that don't know what that means.
That's actually that's great. And then we do have one of the things we do have.
Even if it was just the text in the field.
Maybe even mention Cisco air quality index.
Yeah.
Sure. And so we do have a bunch of, in the Learn tab, when people come in, it'd be cooler as a tooltip or some other hint that's a little bit more immediate when you go to the Channels tab to say, hey, this is is that, when you guys hear air quality index, does that trigger?
Cisco people know what that means.
Okay, but if you're not a Cisco person, you should have to.
You would wonder
point
where
out
that
it's the
number's
Cisco
from.
air quality.
Yeah.
And that is not included in Channelizer Pro. Our Channelizer Pro as it stands. It's only in the Cisco CleanAir version that you get that information.
One thing I wanted to mention was you talked about you don't have a controller for your access point. We have a connect to AP. So if you don't have a controller, however you can get the IP address, the NSI key, we have this optional friendly name. So like in the recent list and stuff like that, it'll show up. So so you can just type those in or paste those in. You probably wouldn't want to type the NSI key. And then you can also in here specify I want to connect to the WYSI module, because it's that second, the third radio, the number 2 radio, and then connect. So and that'll show up in your recent CleanAir APs as that.
Hey, sweet, I made it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Public IP.
Let's see.
Do you have something that's got a good 10 minutes worth of capture?
Yeah. You want to try it again?
Because the question comes up because the blockiness of the waterfall is showing because it's only 15 seconds worth of data that you're spreading across a window, right?
And kind of what you're going to see also in that in the swept spectrum, the bottom piece there is you're also going to see it depends on the mode of the AP. Yeah. So if it's in local mode, those are going to be really thick slices. Those slices become thicker because it's also serving clients, and so it's trying to give us data while it's also trying to give data out to the clients. And then those slices get a lot thinner as you get into SE Connect or if it's in monitor mode, they improve. But yeah, the bulkiness. The other thing that you're going to get is the resolution. You're going to see different is when you use Channelizer Pro with a WiSpy, and then you look at Channelizer with Cisco CleanAir. How we do the population of the data is also affects what you see. And if you look at the density view here, you start to see with the Cisco data is that you're almost able to see from the density view a 3D kind of view of it, where you can the colors, the brightness of the colors means that there's more going on at that specific frequency at that level, that power level, and so the brighter and brighter you see is you'll start to see stuff come out from the background as well. That will start to come forward, and you'll see stuff come out of the red, the green, and the blue as if it keeps being hit, repeatedly.
Since you're pulling this data from that CCF file, would it be possible to use this interface with a Spectrum Expert card?
We've never tried it.
The answer is no.
No.
No, you can't, or no, they won't let you.
No, you can't.
permission or technology?
Monitor only.
So you ask, like, can we, with a little bit more data, you can now, actually in the spectrum analysis data we get out of the APs
Wi-Fi just broke.
And so when you compare that waterfall view against Cisco Spectrum Expert waterfall view, the legacy product, it's identical.
Yep.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the same data. It's
absolutely.
the same data. It's the same stuff. It's
Spectrum Expert, they call it a swept spectrogram or
Swept
something.
spectrogram. That's right.
I believe that's what the view is.
And so, and like I said, once you get a little bit more data,
it's the Wi-Fi that's killing you.
Yeah, probably.
Because before when we were using it, we didn't have everybody on. Now everybody's on, so the Wi-Fi's been pulled down.
So, and like as time went on, you get more of these. You can see the 802.11 pops up, and because it's a MetaGeek product, we also let you filter. So you can say, hey, I really want to look at 802.11. And we know all of the different ones that they're going to give us, and so we can have you filter on that, and then just show those. So like those are all the ones that we have available for you.
So you want to show live data now?
Absolutely. So we still have all of the same abilities that we have to use a Wi-Spy. So I'm going to plug those in.
The nice thing is then you can now go from Cisco CleanAir stuff. So now you've done it remotely. You've looked at what the spectrum looked like from the AP's perspective. You know that there's an interferer that you need to go find. Well, when you're sitting at your desk looking through remotely, you're not going to be able to find that, as well as if you were able to just plug in your Wi-Fi, then walk up and actually begin to look for that interferer.
We'll switch that guy over. And yeah, it's the same deal. When you have two Wi-Spis plugged in, we show them side by side. You have a 2.4x and a dBx, whatever, and you can see them. You can see exactly what's going on in both bands. You see the 5-band in this room is pretty tame. There's not a lot going on. That'll probably change.
Literally, there's nobody.
Yeah, there's nobody.
Doesn't have 5 gigahertz.
Oh no! Wait till you get to see actual. Wait till you get to see the channels table. This is very interesting. Who helped design this particular network?
Blake. So I am going to do the San Jose Airport Hotel. So I'm going to go ahead and filter. Like, I only care about my stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph it. And you can see that it's kind of all over the place. It's kind of all over the place. It's open because it's these dotted lines. And you can see they're on channels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sure if we walked around, we could get the whole gang. We could Pokemon all these
Well, if you walked around, it would go 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and
Pokemon all these channels.
You got to get them all.
Awesome.
So, Channelizer, the same stuff we've always been able to show you. We show you the vendor, what kind of network it was, what kind of network it is, the MAC address, everything. We show that through time while you're walking around. Right now, I can see that for the network graph, as you're walking around, if you just have your stuff selected, you'll see that you can guarantee, you can say like, okay, I never got below, -65 when I was walking around, and so that's But yeah, it is kind of funny when you get into
they're interfering with themselves.
They definitely are.
It's not setting it up properly.
And in IPA, in a packet capture, be like, hey, dude, you got a lot of adjacent channel interferers. What the heck are you doing? So we can go through, we have the signatures where we draw, if you can't see it because we have...
So it looks like a 40 megahertz wide CCK curve. Maybe 70 or something.
Yeah. So it is definitely a kind of weird, and you see like the one we're next to, and we have some people that are streaming data over it, probably...
Us.
And we have our own device identification, so you can see that when you're in local mode. And then you have the channels table, which functions very similarly. We have this spark line that shows you kind of the quality and utilization and all of those, how many access points there are. So it's all the same stuff that you guys are familiar with Channelizer, but we just added more. The utilization graph is really cool for, I think it's fun when you really want to say, okay, I want to know when it's going to start interfering with me, and I really want to know when it's above 70. And so you can see as you walk around, where am I above where is the utilization higher?
You can also use it to find the noise floor, right? What's the noise floor of this network or this particular channel, which is good.
We also have one of the last tabs that we have is all about our device finder. We figured that as MetaGeek, we figured that if you can identify a device, that's great. If you can say, I know that it's a deck phone, that's cool. But if you don't know where it is, it's of limited use because you don't know whether or not you can turn it off. Is it on this dude's desk? Is it on the second floor? Is it in this other office? And so we do have our device finder, which, we can. This is our DBX. Has a removable antenna. It allows you to replace the little dipole that's on there with a direction finder. You can clip it onto the laptop screen, and then you walk around, and it's time to play hot and cold to figure out where it is. It was one of our captures with the device finder was really interesting, where they finally got through this row home, and then they got to the end and they turned sideways and it started lighting up, and they were able to find out it was the neighbor, and it was kind of annoying, but it was good to know. It wasn't like the guy who was the installer said, like, it wasn't me, I did it right, and then your neighbor installed a soundolier or installed whatever, they installed some analog device that doesn't show up in your Wi-Fi because it doesn't have to be Wi-Fi to interfere with Wi-Fi. So, does anyone have any questions?
Just good to see it just keeps improving every time you come back and talk to us.
Well, that's what we want. We really want to. That's what we really want, is to make it better all the time. So now that we can,
now the demo's over.
Yeah,
we would like to
give you guys some testers.
Some sound testers is what these are.
Sound testers. That's what they are.
Are these that
use them to test
that
sound?
New device that's listed in the bottom right corner that
looks familiar.
No, it's they're for testing sound mostly. Yes. Sound.
Nice.
Testing?
Yeah, they're
sound testers.
Sound testers.
They're purely sound testers.
Yes, only for sound.
That's awesome.
Sound testers.
Oh,
They're for testing mostly in the 2.4 gigahertz range for sound.
Yeah.
I kind of recognize it.
Yes, it looks very familiar.
And they're broad spectrum, so
we think that the car adapter is probably the best part of the whole.
Yeah, of the sound
You really
tester?
need to be able to test sound while you're driving around, apparently.
These are always great.
And this will stop the spy camera as well.
Yes.
Sound tester.
They are marketed that way. They're like, hey, you don't want to walk into any building and not.
It was interesting as looking around. They actually have one that is marketed as protect your privacy.
Don't turn them on.
Yeah, don't turn them on, people.
They're probably not charged. I would think.
Yes, they are.
Are they?
They are
fully charged.
Silly.
Yeah, they are fully charged because we love
someone
our other
did turn it on.
presenters, so we want to make sure that they all have great experiences.
It was only
great.
It was only turned on briefly.
Yeah, briefly. No, that was something else. These are sound testers.
Well, someone
I
was
know
testing
better.
Sound.
Don't call me Blake.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm uploading to YouTube at 600 kilobytes per second, and whenever
You were.
the thing was turned on, it went down to 5.
Yeah.
So
you can actually pause it and show it.
There's a lot of sound in here.
It was loud.
So to show exactly what we were talking about, it's that band. Pause it and just go right into it.
Maybe if you went up to channel 17 would be okay.
Yeah, channel 17 would be great. It would be really nice and clear. And you can see as we start getting really narrowed down, the band. Yeah, so we can start to see exactly what's going on, and it's that same thing where you went to lunch, you came back, and the thing happened.
What's interesting is that will also. Someone was talking about their microwave. First thing they did is go test their microwave.
Yeah,
right. Microwaves, people don't realize that microwaves are a problem. And talking with an installer, they were like, yeah, everything worked great in the office. We built out this network, everything worked well. And then right about lunchtime, everyone started complaining about their network problems. Well, come to find out, they had a different legacy of microwaves that when they were turned on, this bank of microwaves took out the entire wireless.
Yeah, they sent us a picture and it looked like like a 50s, 60s, like just really, must have blown the breaker all the time.
Yeah,
because it was just.
They were able to cook whole turkeys.
Outside the microwave.
Yes.
You don't have to be in the microwave. You just have to be near the microwave.
So that kind of concludes our Channelizer portion of it. Questions or comments you'd like us to take back? Okay.
Oh, actually, there was one other thing that I said I would talk about, and I didn't. We have the report builder. Reporting is a big part of what you do. When you go to a site, it's great to be able to tell a customer, this is the thing I did. This is the report that says I did it, and so we have we have the stuff that you've probably seen at previous wireless field days. We can show you the density view. It grabs the density view for the time frame, so you can come in here and pause it just right on this thing and say like, hey, I saw when the microwave turned on or when someone was testing something, and this is what it was. And then I used the device finder to track it down, and then this is what it looked like. And then when I turned it off, this is what it looked like. I fixed it. I turned the thing off. You have to buy a new one, or whatever. And you have the channels table and all of those things.
Then if you click on them, you can actually, there's pre-filled MetaGeek text for each one of those. And then you can actually change that text and edit it as you need, or add additional comments, regarding what it is.
And so also you can go, the report stays here when you switch between modes. So you can go to your local Wi-Fi mode, you can collect a bunch of data, you can take some shots, you can start building your report. And then this is that recording I took earlier of the Boise stuff, the Cisco CleanAir. And then you can come in here and say, hey, oh yeah, during this time I also want to be able to grab the interferers. And these were the interferers that I have. It's the table.
So I hate to be a pain, but I like the graphical for the graphical stuff that makes sense. But for the channels table and the interfering devices table, since that's more of like an ASCII table format, like a spreadsheet format, that's my thing that I like to have in text, because it makes the files, if I don't have to use giant graphics, I don't.
Absolutely.
Possible to get that as text?
Oh yeah, actually, I think it's the only way.
Really? Because there it looks like a picture.
Right. It does look like a picture, but
so
what we'll do is when I export this, we also added PDF export, which is kind of the way that you're probably going to deliver a lot of these anyway. Actually, I'm not going to do that so I can actually mess with it. Export as
RTF, and then it will be text, maybe.
So
you scored if you had a Jenny giggle.
All right. So when you get done, you can open it up at WordPad or whatever tool you happen to have. Come on, it'll be like that. So yeah, so we have the density, and then here we go.
Yay.
Yeah, so the channels table and the interfering devices table, they're all in text. Because you're absolutely right. They're not an image. They're a piece of tabular data, and so they should be text.
So maybe I probably didn't take that next step, and I just said, oh, it's just a screenshot. Blah.
It's all good, and that probably could be more clear. To say the one of these is an image.
It's
one
probably
of them
just me.
Is text. But because you're absolutely right. It should be, and then you can put in all of your own blocks. You can put in a company logo. You can export it as PDF. For a lot of times, this is something that's just going to go in a lot of times this goes in a drawer, right? It's that, oh yeah, you gave that to me, I gave you my money, I feel great because you gave me a report, and now it goes in a drawer. So doing it however you want to do it is, however you get the information out is good. So, all right. Yeah, and so now that concludes our Channelizer presentation. We can have a moment of silence for the splicer. And before any of you ask, we do have, there is the question of, you had the question about Spectrum Expert device. And, we are actually working on the CleanAir USB device. This is currently what it looks like. We are trying to miniaturize it and get it to be a little bit nicer for laptops. Get rid of the hand crank,
awesome.
Stuff like that. We're working on it, but it's not today.